a trial wraps up, you have sentencing. And we usually hear some range of possibilities. It could be 30 years to life or 6 to 18 months in prison. Something along those lines, right? So how is the final number actually decided? We're asking attorney Frank Cassesse this morning. He's in for Dave for Legally Speaking.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So tell us, how does this work? What factors go into decisions like this?
So when a judge considers sentencing in a felony case, he looks at the revised code, the Ohio revised code, 292911 specifically. And there's all sorts of things that will come into play when he decides or she decides how to sentence a criminal defendant. Your prior criminal history is one important thing. Sometimes we talk about victimless crimes. So if it's an offense where potentially you're pulled over in the car and you have a weapon in the car and you're not allowed to have a weapon, that's technically a victimless crime, whereas a felonious assault where somebody gets hurt, there's a victim in that crime.
Yeah.
So all of those factors are considered by the judge when imposing sentencing. In felony cases, the worst felony that you can be convicted of is a felony of the first degree, and the least worst, so to speak, is a felony of the fifth degree, right? So felony fives can be more drug-related cases, and usually judges will impose community control, which is probation. Whereas if you get convicted of a felony 1 or 2, a lot of times there's what's called a mandatory minimum. So in a felony 1, a mandatory minimum may be 3 years. So a judge has no choice but to give you 3 years at least, right?
Wow.
So it varies based on the crime, the nature of the crime, the criminal history of the defendant.
Yeah,
right?
let's talk about criminal history.
Sure.
What about prior offenses?
Those always are considered, and they're considered strongly. So if you have a bad record, so to speak, a judge is going to look at that and more than likely impose more time. There are things that can lessen the blow.
Yeah.
If you're provoked, if it's a felonious assault, a bar fight, and there's what they'll call provocation, doesn't excuse the crime, but a judge may consider that and be a little more lenient.
Yeah, now are you ever surprised by a judge's decision on a sentence, or is it usually pretty easy to predict?
I would say lower level felonies are a little bit more predictable. Felony 1s, felony 2s, felony 3s, I don't know that you can really predict them.
Okay.
It just depends. I think there's a big difference between taking a plea bargain and being convicted at a trial. Convicted of a trial, a lot less predictable. Plea bargains, a little bit more predictable.
All right. Any advice for anyone facing this issue out there?
Don't
So
get
sorry.
in trouble. Yeah, don't get in trouble.
Yes.
It's the best advice I can give.
Just stay out of trouble.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
if you do need to speak to a great attorney, how do we get a hold of you?
So you can call us at our office, 330-746-8484. We're always available. We never stop working, unless you're Dave and you get to hang out on the boat. Brian and I are always working, everybody else, but Dave's at the boat.
We've heard about Dave.
So.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for breaking this down for us.
No worries.